Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Bracha Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Radha Madhava Ki. Prabhupada Ki. Okay. Sprechen wir Deutsch oder Englisch? Who doesn't understand German? Okay. Und wer versteht kein Englisch? Du verstehst Englisch? Okay. Dann ich spreche die Shurikund. Vielleicht kann ja auch jemand übersetzen, falls es möglich wäre. Hä? Ne, oder auf Englisch auch vielleicht. Mir ist es egal, ich kann beides versuchen. Englisch. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are continuing to reading from the Bhagavad Gita, as it is, from first chapter, verse number 42. Doshairet etai kulagnanam varna sankara karakai utsadyante jati dharma kula dharmascha shashvata doshairetai kulagnanam varna shankara karakai utsadyante jati dharma kula dharmascha shashvata. Someone like to try? Doshairetai kula dhanam dharma shankara karmakai sadyante jati dharma kula dharma shashvata doshairetai kula gnanam varna shankara karakai utsadyante jati dharma kula dharma shashvata doshairetai kula gnanam varna shankara karakai utsadyante jati dharma kula dharma shashvata. Okay. Word for word translation. Doshai, by such faults. Etai, all this. Kula gnanam, of the destroyers of the family. Vanashankara, of unwanted children. Karakai, which are caused. Utsadyante, are devastated. Jati dharma, community projects. Kula dharma, family traditions. Cha, also. Shashvata, eternal. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. By the evil deeds of those who destroyed the family tradition and thus gave rise to unwanted children, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. Purport. Community projects for the four orders of human society combined with family welfare activities as they are set forth by the institution of Sanatana Dharma or Varnashram Dharma are designed to enable the human being to attain his ultimate salvation. Therefore, the breaking of the Sanatana Dharma tradition by irresponsible leaders of society brings about chaos in that society. And consequently, people forget the aim of life, Vishnu. Such leaders are called blind, and persons who follow such leaders are sure to be led into chaos. Om Magyana Tinjandasya Dhananjana Shalakaya Chakshuramritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishnu Stapitam Yena Bhutale Samrupa Kadamana Vantasvadantikam Vanchakapadrivashya Kripasana Vivacha Patitam Pavanebhi Vaishnavi Namo Namo Vishnu Pray Krishna Prishtai Bhutale Vishnu Tapamakam Namo Swamiti Namo Namo Vishnu Pray Krishna Prishtai Bhutale Vishnu Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nivishishishuni Vadabhashya Jadeshdarin Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So when I first time was reading the verse, I was thinking about the story from Maharaj Parikshit and from Kali personified, because it's also going about the same topic. And so I was reading about the story again, and when Maharaj Parikshit, he was wandering around about his kingdom, and then when he saw one man, one Shudra, dressed in a king's dress, looking outwardly like a king, but he was doing something really terrible. He was beating a bull with a stick or with a gather, and he was like hitting 3 legs of him. And this bull, he was, when we read the translations of the 16th chapter, of the 17th chapter, then we can like read that he was like actually religion personified. And these 3 legs, which Kali was break with his stick from the bull, they were like for mercy, and they were like actually the 4 legs were like presenting the 4 regulative principles which we have: intoxication, gambling, meat eating, and illicit sex. And he was breaking the legs and trying to destroy the religious principles. Maharaj Parikshit, he wanted to stop him, and so he approached him, and he was angry to see it in his kingdom somehow who did such terrible things. And so he immediately picked up his sword, his really sharp sword, and wanted to cut his head. But the Shudra, he immediately felt under his feet and begged for forgiveness, and he was like trembling, he was really anxious, and he just was like trying to beg for forgiveness. And so because Maharaj Parikshit, he was a saintly person full of really nice qualities, he forgave him. But he said, "You cannot stay in my kingdom, because in my kingdom is no such place for such terrible things." And so then he asked, "So where should I stay?" And then Maharaj Parikshit said, "You can stay there where is gambling, illicit sex, intoxication, and meat eating." And so after a short time, Kali came back to Maharaj Parikshit, and he said, "There is no such place. I have to stay somewhere where I can stay, where I feel comfortable, where I don't do then the sins again." And so Maharaj Parikshit, he gave him a 5th thing, and this was there where gold is stored. And so these 5 things are now there where Kali is most presented, and we can see it everywhere. And when we go outside, walking around the city or wherever, we see all these things really strong presented, or in the schools, in the works, all this association, everyone is just like presenting it on a golden plate, one can say, like it would be the best what one can do. Also, I know it when I was going to school and had this association with these people, they are like really living for it. And so when Maharaj Parikshit, he was wandering into the forest, and he approached one rishi. And this rishi, he was completely in trance. He was completely deep in meditation, so he didn't really realize what was going on around him, because he was completely inside. And so Maharaj Parikshit, he was not sure if he is completely self-realized or if he is just ignoring him, because he was hungry and he was thirsty and searching something for eating and something for drinking. So he was thinking that he's like ignoring him because he's seeing him as a lower kshatriya and this not really like giving proper respect. So he took a dead snake and put it around his shoulders. And so his son from this Brahmana, he then, his friends, I think, told the son of the Brahmana what was going on. And so he became really angry. And Prabhupada also prescribes in the purports that he was like also bewildered, and he was also like under the influence of Kali. And so he became really angry, and he then cursed Maharaj Parikshit that he will die in 7 days. And then also in the chapter it's like really nicely prescribed how when one hears the names of the Lord and the stories of the Lord, that it is giving one salvation. It is like really like one is becoming freed from birth and death and the cycle. But so like this, Kali Yuga started. Maharaj Parikshit left this world, so there was no more appropriate king, and it became degraded, and more degraded, and now it is like it is now. And first, when we read like the story, it sounds like terrible at some point, because okay, now it's Kali Yuga and there's no real religion and everyone is just committing sins. And yes, but what is really nice, what is the good thing is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna himself, because he's so compassionate to the fallen conditioned souls, he said he will come again because of 2 reasons. The one is because he wanted to taste the rasa, to taste what his devotees are tasting when they are approaching him, when they see him, when they are with him together. And the other thing is because of Sankirtan, Harinam. Because it said in the Puranas, like for example the verse Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam, kalo nastyeva, nastyeva, nastyeva gatir anyata. How important it is to chant, that there is no other thing. Just the chanting of the holy name is like it's the root of Kali Yuga, where we can somehow get something from the religion. But still, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came, he didn't just give us the holy name, but he gave us the biggest present one can have. He gave us like something really, really, really deep. He gave us like Krishna consciousness on the most high level, actually. Because even in the other yugas, it was not possible to get in such an easy way such a treasure. And he's just appearing once in a day of Brahma. So this means after 1,000 Divya Yugas have passed, he's appearing just once in his golden color. And this is really rare and such a present. This is unbelievable in Kali Yuga. And there's also something that is really nice that I would like to read. It's coming from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's from Adi Lila, the 7th chapter, verse 19 to 29. It is said, the characteristics of Krishna are understood to be storehouse of transcendental love. Although that storehouse of love certainly came with Krishna when he was present, it was sealed. But when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came with his associates of the Panchatattva, they broke the seal and plundered the storehouse to taste transcendental love of Krishna. The more they tasted, the more their thirst for it grew. Sri Panchatattva themselves danced again and again, and thus made it easier to drink nectarian love of Godhead. They danced, cried, love, and chanted like madmen, and in this way they distributed love of Godhead. In distributing love of Godhead, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates did not consider who was a fit candidate and who was not, nor where such distribution should or not take place. They made no conditions. Wherever they got the opportunity, the members of the Panchatattva distributed love of Godhead. Although the members of the Panchatattva plundered the storehouse of love of Godhead and ate and distributed its contents, there was no scarcity, for this wonderful storehouse is so complete that as the love is distributed, the supply increases hundreds of times. The flood of love of Godhead swelled in all directions, and thus young men, old men, women, and children were all immersed in that inundation. The Krishna consciousness movement will inundate the entire world and draw everyone, whether one be a gentleman, a rogue, or even lame, invalid, or blind. When the 5 members of the Panchatattva saw the entire world drowned in love of Godhead, and the seed of material enjoyment and the living entities completely destroyed, they all became exceedingly happy. The more the 5 members of the Panchatattva caused the rains of love of Godhead to fall, the more the inundation increases and spreads all over the world. It's really nice to see, like, Panchatattva and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they just came to give Harinam Sankirtan, like Nityananda Prabhu, for example. He was preaching through the whole Bengal, and there are like many stories. So he was preaching, and the people, they just become Krishna Prem, just like this, and they were jumping on the tree, they were pulling out the trees, they were like going mad like anything. And they were like becoming love of God, just like without anything, without any qualification, without to have anything, just through the name, which is none different from Krishna himself. And this is like really astonishing, because in Kali Yuga, if you want to become free from the influence of Kali, the normal process is like the 4 regulative principles and to chant 16 rounds. This is what Prabhupada gave us. My Guraj mentioned that he also gave us this especially because of the story from Maharaj Parikshit and Kali, the 4 regulative principles. Because in India, or before some time, it was normal that everyone, and especially the Brahmanas, were holding the 4 regulative principles and doing strict sadhana. But the nice thing is that the 16 rounds, or this chanting of Hare Krishna, it's not just like a dry thing. It is not that we just chant somehow and we don't experience anything, or it is just some chanting, some names. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he puts everything inside the whole Prem. He put everything in these names. He put everything in the songs. And so therefore it is completely uplifting. It is something what is like, take us on some other platform. It is like Haridas Thakur, he said, in the material world there are only 2 things which are like spiritual. The one is the jiva, and the other is the holy name. And this is like a really, really deep thing, because when we really like see there's just these 2 things, the jivas and the holy name of the Lord, which is non different from the Lord, and this is something really, really, really nice. And yeah, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there's also one verse which also my Guru Maharaj likes to always tell. It's Katanchana smrte yasmin dushkaram sukharam bhavet vismrte viparitam syat Shri Chaitanyam namami tam. Yeah. Things that are very difficult to do because it became easy to execute if one somehow or other simply remembers Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But if one does not remember him, even easy things become very difficult to this Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all from respectful obeisances. And so we can see actually this process, it's so difficult, chanting and holding the regulative principles. But because we have this mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we can remember of him. It is so easy. It is like something what is like really, really just a normal regulated thing. And we can also see it like in the normal world who can do it, or there are also many religious sampradayas who don't have the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we can see for them it's much more difficult because they don't get the taste. But because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave us something really deep, so therefore we can taste the holy name and everything. And it's not only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who is so merciful, because when there was the time that he was leaving, or short before he was leaving, he knew when he will go, especially when Nityananda will go, and all the devotees, who will preach? Who will continue to preach? Who will distribute continuously the love of God? And also like Nityananda, he and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were like mostly just preaching in the way of kirtan. So there was no deep philosophy after they left. Like they also became many apasampradayas, this, that, because they just gave to the people prem, but there was no deep philosophy. And therefore they ordered the Goswamis to go to Vrindavan and to write many books and to establish the dharma of this religion of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of the Gaudiya Sampradaya. And so they were the Goswamis, actually 7 Goswamis with Lokanath Goswami, and they were like writing various scriptures. They were opening up Vrindavan for everyone. Vrindavan would be nowadays this what it is without the Goswamis, because they established all these temples, they built up everything. And so the scriptures were there, but there was no one to distribute them. There were no one to preach after them. The Goswamis became really old. They were also short before to left the body. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was meditating really deep upon it. And so when he was on a river in Keturi, he just became mad, really, really mad, and he was screaming really loudly, Narottam, Narottam. And this was like when he was like saying the appearance of Narottam, but it's really nice. And so there's also prescribed that Nityananda said that he never saw how many tears he was crying on this moment, never before. And so in this time, or after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was left this world, Narottam Das Thakur, he appeared. He came from the spiritual world to this world. And so he was actually the first book distributor with Srinivas. They were like, with young age, with 16, he went to Vrindavan. He left home, his kingdom. He just ran away from all his duties. And so he came to Jiva Goswami. And Jiva Goswami, he took really nicely care of him. And so he got initiation from Lokanath Das Goswami. And he and Srinivas and Shyamananda Pandit were there. And they were like learning really deeply all the science, all the scriptures of the Goswamis. And they were like going really deep into it. And so when after years passed, they were like, then Jiva Goswami decided the scriptures have to go to Bengal, because they were the most devotees, they were the most associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they were really happy to get the scriptures. So they chose these true personalities to go there, and they distributed really widely these scriptures. They were like making kingdoms to Vaishnavas, and then because they didn't have like printers like we have now, they were like, Brahmanas were writing with the hands all these many scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam and all the scripture of the Goswamis, Chaitanya Charitamrita. And this was like, they were writing so many scriptures of it that there were also Gaur Purnim. Narottam Das Thakur also established the first Gaur Purnim. And they were also coming like all the associates, Minaketan Ramadas, Jana Vimata, and the Goswamis who were still living, and much more. And they were like establishing new kind of kirtan. They were like preaching the scriptures really deeply. And it's prescribed, everyone who was in this Gaur Purnim festival, and there were thousands and thousands of devotees, got a full set of all the literatures. And so the first book distribution, actually the first preaching like we have it nowadays, took place. And so we can see that this is what we have. Then after the Guru Parampara passed and everyone gave his mercy, and then Prabhupada came. And he actually did a similar thing, or one can say, really similar thing, like the acharyas before, like Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivas, Shyamananda Pandit, but just in the West. He took the literature from India, from the Goswamis, from our previous acharyas, and he took everything and just gave it to us in the West. It's all consciousness, it's all Gaura Prem, everything. And so this is, the whole movement is actually carried out just by mercy. so much mercy. There's everywhere mercy, and we are so weak. I also heard last time lecture of my Guru Maharaj, and he explained we cannot do anything. We are so weak. We have nothing. We are not strong. We can't do anything. But just because, like personalities like Srila Prabhupada and the previous acharyas, the Pancha Tattva, they were like taking they were taking the deepest thing of the spiritual world, and they were like bringing it to everyone so that everyone can understand it, so that everyone can drink it, that everyone can take the nectar. And this is prescribed in these verses which I was reading from the Pancha Tattva. As more as one is drinking it, and as more as one is distributing it, and it increases. This is like the spiritual mathematics. In the material world, if we have 4 apples and we share 3 of them, then 1 is left. But in the spiritual world, if we have something spiritual and we share it, the taste is increasing and we are getting more and more deep absorption and more taste. Like also, what was also for the holy name, what was in last time my deep realization, when I was out on the street distributing books in Hanover, it was like some really hard day. The people were really passionate, they were running, and no one was stopping, and many people everywhere, and I was somehow tired. I was completely finished on this day. I also don't know why, but it was like, for me, I was completely done, and the people, they were also like just rushing around, and it was hours outside, and I distributed, I think, as good as nothing on books. I was like thinking, what is going on? I was trying to run a little bit to come out of my tamagun and everything. I was trying to sprinkle some water, and nothing worked. And so at some point I just like remember or realized that I completely forgot to connect somehow, to chant, to do something. And so I immediately started to sing some songs from Narottam Das Thakur and immediately started to chant. And what happened was like really wonderful. I was like just chanting, and somehow immediately I came just out, and what was also a miracle, I didn't have anymore to talk really with the people. I was standing there doing just like this and giving them something fist bump, and they were like coming and looking at me, and I just said 2-3 words and they were taking books, so without to do anything. And this was like 1 hour it was going on, and I distributed, I think, all of my books from this day and in this hour. And so I realized that this chanting and this Maha Mantra, it is like something not ordinary, that I was really feeling how Paramatma was immediately active, and I was just a tool in hands, because I just chant. I didn't do anything, I was just chanting. And so through this power of chanting, I could distribute books. And this was something what was like really deep experience, and so I was going after this day really blissful, back to the van, and I was just chanting the whole time. I was like really happy because I really was really connected with Krishna. Because I was connected with Krishna, at this moment the people could connect with Krishna when I had these books. And I realized that I actually don't have to do anything. Krishna knows who has to take the books. Krishna knows where the books belong to. And so it was just like standing there actually and chanting. And it's like from this day I really tried like every day to chant and it was my experiences. One is like really, one becomes free from attachment. If someone comes, says yes or no, whatever, and one is like really like inside really absorbed, because one is constantly somehow remembering or thinking about stories. This is so deep, like just some stories from Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, or wherever, and this chanting. And this is like my experience, what I had like really strong on the last traveling, that if you just try to remember, if you just try to absorb somehow, we don't have to be big jnanis to know anything, we don't have to be scientific or whatever, we just have simply to somehow try to connect. And if we constantly think upon it, then Krishna can act through us and make wonderful things. Without that, we can just be a tool, and it's like really deep feeling. It's like a feeling of being abreast of mercy and just sharing mercy. And so this was a really nice experience which I had on Sankirtan. And what I also had, it's like like this mood of distributing mercy to everyone. Last time I had like one guy in Halle, and he was looking a little bit like crazy, and I just approached him, and he was standing there, and he was like really, he just told me like when I was speaking with him, like a crazy story that he was just that he had some problems with the neighbors and everything, and he was like really flipping out, and he really tried like to take a knife and go to them, and like really terrible things. And he also showed me, because he failed upon it, that he had like a real cut like on his hand from the knife. And but he took a book, and he was like really happy about it, that he got this book, that he could give some donation, take the book, and it really like one could see that he wanted to, or he could change his life through this book. And this was like some experience that this mercy, everyone can take it somehow, and everyone can completely change, like also all the devotees, just by the mercy of Sri Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Prabhupada. What everyone was doing before, and then at this point when one came to the movement, just this chanting, this association, and reading about the books changed like everything completely. And this is something what is like really amazing. And everyone is searching after it, because everyone is actually suffering in this world, if he knows or not. But everyone is like completely under suffering. Also the people who say, I'm completely happy, I'm fine, I'm happy, but it's just a question of time when the next thing will come, or at the moment of death, what you will do at the moment of death. Only when one lives like really pious, one can be happy. But because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us this wealth, like my Guru Maharaj, he said that the most healthy man is a pauper in comparison to us, to people who have like this mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of Krishna too, and the holy name. And this is like something really deep. Everything is temporary, everything is coming and going. If it is emotion, relationships, if it is money, if it is whatever. But this relationship with God, this is something that is standing forever. And everything what we do, even if it is just like to clean one pot, or just like to distribute one book, or whatever, everything counts, and it will never be forgotten. And this is something what is amazing, because there's actually nothing what is forever there, but just like the spiritual thing is there. And yeah, I think I will end on this point here. Maybe there are some questions, or maybe someone like to share something or say something. Yeah. Yes?
Hare Krishna, danke für den Vortrag. Kann ich auf Deutsch eine Frage stellen? Gut, danke. Wegen Sankirtan wollte ich was fragen. Du hattest angesprochen, dass man ja versucht, diese Mercy weiterzugeben an die ganzen Menschen. Wie gehst du damit um, wenn die Leute total eine ablehnende Haltung haben, einfach weil sie nicht gern angesprochen werden auf der Straße oder was anderes vorhaben, obwohl sie noch nicht mal wissen, dass denen das weiterhelfen würde oder so? Also versuchst du sie dann irgendwie zu überzeugen, oder bist du dann so nachsichtig mit ihrem Desinteresse sozusagen? Weißt du, was ich meine?
Ja. Ist okay, wenn ich auf Englisch oder soll ich? Yes, so she asked how I'm dealing with the situation if someone, when I'm going out on book distribution and the people are neglectful, or they're not interested and they don't want the books, or like in these situations. So at the beginning, when I started, it was difficult for me, because it was also really difficult for me just to stand outside and just to approach people, just to ask people something which I never saw before. And so in this way, it was like also difficult for me, for people who didn't react or something. They're just going like this, and they even didn't look at you, or some are just saying something, no thank you. This is like okay if they say something and they're trying to be nice. But in the beginning it was difficult, but after a time one realizes that the most people actually, they don't interested in these books because it's also not for everyone meant. And so I often like to think like that I'm just a postman. I'm going there and I have something to give to some addresses, because at the end, what's my realization? What I know, it's we don't can decide who will take a book. We cannot choose the people. We can think maybe, oh, he will maybe take a book. He looks spiritual or whatever, but it's not possible to force them also, because someone, if he don't takes a book, he don't takes a book. And so the best is like to just let them. If they really say no, and you really feel that they don't want, you just let them go. But if they like thinking and maybe not, I don't know, then one can try it more. Maybe they will take. And yes, it's like also like the last day which I had in Halle. This was like really, I don't know. Somehow I was also thinking this day, should I laugh or how should I react? Because the people there, they were like really, 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 really nasty, like anything, saying curses and this and that and what are like really things what I don't want to say here, and one after another, and it was like somehow I was laughing, but at the same time I somehow I was like sad about the situation, but I didn't know how to react. But somehow I just continued, and it was like really nice. Then I was approaching one Mataji, and she came and she just gave me like this 50 euros. She said, it's really nice work what you are doing, I'm really appreciating it, and she was like really, really happy about it. And she just gave 50 euros like this. And at the end, what we're like realizing, Sankirtan, this not the most nectar to distribute hundreds upon hundreds of books, but the most nectar is this purification what we get. Because Sankirtan is at the end, when we're standing outside, we have contact personally with Krishna, and Krishna can do with us whatever we want, because we never know what will happen today. And this is like the nectar, because what I feel the most, my Krishna conscious time, when I was outside doing Sankirtan, this was like the time where I the fastest get purification, the fastest get like, to a complete new qualities and this and that, and become a new person. And this is like, for me, the present what is Sankirtan. Because preaching can ever go on, but Sankirtan is like the nectar what gives us like really deep inspiration, purification, and can make us like to really nice devotees. So it doesn't matter if we go out and we immediately become big distributors, 50 books to 100 books every day, or if we just go out and distribute 5 books or 10 books or even less. It is going about endeavor. Krishna don't sees the number, because Krishna sees like really what we are offering for him, what we are giving for him, what we are hiding back, or what we are really presenting before him. And this is like the nice thing on Sankirtan, that we can like really see ourselves. Often it is completely like a mirror. We can see like ourselves completely, okay, where I'm good and where I'm not good. And so we can purify ourselves. And this is like the big present of Sankirtan for myself, what I really like. And yes, this is I think what is Sankirtan mostly about, to really make an offering for Krishna. And also Akila Prabhu, he liked to say, if many books are going out, then it's mercy for others. If less books are going out, then it's mercy for us. So it's a really nice approach. And everyone can try it. Everyone can try to do something. Everyone can try to say, okay, today I have more time, I just go for 1 hour outside, or I go for 2 hours outside, or I have some friends, I try to give them some books. So one cannot like lose anything. The biggest problem is our minds, especially when we are alone and no one is there. When we have some friends and we are together, then it's much easier to go out. But when we are alone and we have, now I go alone to the city, and then it's really difficult, And this is what I really like about Sankirtan, that we can like really go deep in our Krishna consciousness and realize many things. Because like this realization, what I shared like with the chanting of the holy name, If I didn't was going out on Sankirtan, who knows if I would have this realization. This is something that is carrying out through the whole life. Because we can always chant. We can chant whatever we are doing, whatever we are making, whatever. We can just chant, and this realization is somehow gained on Sankirtan. And this is like really, really, really nice. And yeah, I hope your question.
Yes, thank you.
Something.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. So it's like you have shared your experience, which is like really inspiring and motivating also to go out and do Sankirtan. So my question would be that many devotees who come to the temple, they say me that there were some people on the street, they gave me a book, I got interested and I started coming to the temple, and then afterwards they become also a devotee. So is this that this Krishna wanted them to become a devotee, or is this like this that because of us, that we are because of the people who are doing Sankirtan, they're distributing the books for them, they got the mercy, and you understand what I mean, right?
It's both, because if Krishna would be not like interesting, or the person, they need pious activities, they need to do something pious, that they get the credit of taking a book. They need to be, I often realize, when they're just really nice, these persons, when they really like have a good heart, they're often taking a book, and they don't become a good heart because they don't did any good things. And so it's both, because if the devotee would be not there, then this person would not get the book. So then it would be not possible for him. So it's mercy from both sides. Like also on the festival where we were last, it was like really personal there, because when we were distributing books, I had few persons, they took the book, and they, like the small book we have, again, like Beyond Birth and Death, and they took it and read it in one day completely. And then they came back in the evening or whatever, and just with questions. I was amazed, like they read it just in one day, like the whole book, and they, yes, and I want the next book. And this is like something, we cannot control these persons to read or whatever, but we can just be like this tool, this postman. We can just go there and say, I think you're at the right address where Krishna or Prabhupada wrote this letter to you, and here you have it. And then what they're doing, we cannot decide. We cannot control them. I had also many people, they were like, wow, I'm so interesting and whatever. And they gave contact, and I write with them, and then they write, I have no interest anymore. And there are many persons who are like, first skeptical, but then they read the books and they become Vaishnavas. And so it is the mercy of both. It is the mercy of the distributor, and it's the mercy of Krishna. So it goes together. Krishna is never separated from his devotees, and a devotee is never separated from Krishna in anything. So, yeah. Something else, or it's done?
Have you personally ever made a devotee who came to the temple after you gave him a book?
I know in the beginning, I forgot the city, but I was distributing also books, and he didn't took a book, he took a flyer, but he immediately said, I want to come to the temple. And I was like, okay, so you don't seem so interested. But he came and he stayed for many months in the temple, and he was like doing in the garden many things. And there are like many persons who are practicing, who are reading the books, chanting some rounds, but they don't come to the temple. Also made one. He was before Mayavadi, in Nuremberg it was, and he saw me, and he knew a little bit about Vaishnavas. So he asked me, are you a Vaishnava, or what are you doing? And he told me, yeah, I'm believing Advaita philosophy. He told many things, that he was doing with Advaita philosophy, and that he also got some YouTube channel from Ananda Krishna, and like this, and then he approached me, I gave him some books, and he started to read every day, he started to chant every day, he has now Srimad Bhagavatam set at home, and he's reading, and he's doing sadhana every day, and so this, really, they got the mercy somehow. We just did like our minimal service of giving them books and giving them a little bit of association. And many of them, they're practicing at home. Who knows who else is there, how many devotees are there who got somehow a book and reading it and starting to practice. Because for many of them, it's like not so easy to say, okay, I will go to the temple. It's not for everyone. Okay, I have time, I go to the temple. It's like for rare people. But when they continue, next life it is better, next life it is better, next life it's better. Or maybe next life they go already back to home, or in this life. And this is like the mercy. Yeah. Nice. I think I will stop here, because now it's starting for Gaurarati. So thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.